hear from Pranit himself a few words on his journey.
Thanks a lot for inviting me to the podcast. I'm thrilled to be part of this. Greetings.
Please, Pranit.
Hey, hi Swati. Thanks a lot for inviting me to the podcast. I'm thrilled to be part of this. And yeah, that was a great introduction. So I started my journey from software development point of view, where I got my bachelor's in India from PICT, and later on I was pursuing this SD roles, and I wanted to learn more about web development. But during my third year, I got extremely interested in cybersecurity, and I started, learning how to hack. And later on, I joined a company as a security consultant, and meanwhile, I was also working as a bug bounty hunter, and I started from various different platforms at a time, like Open Bug Bounty, Bugcrowd, and later transition to HackerOne. And after that, I started my master's journey where we both have studied University of Maryland. And later on, I started my career as a product security engineer at Apple. And later on, I transitioned to Amazon, where I have been part of various teams like VMR team, that is vulnerability management and remediation team. And currently I'm into the OSH team, which is for offensive security operations. So in my day-to-day life, I perform pen test as well as I also perform some red team engagements or purple team engagements.
Great. Thank you, Pranit, for your introduction. And just to highlight one of the part which I missed, you mentioned you are also you were a developer in the beginning of your career. So I think that adds a lot of value in the cybersecurity career because you know the intrinsic details of how the entire product development lifecycle also looks like. So that will add value in how you are, performing any security assessments or even security research on the overall product. So that's a great plus to your career profile, the tech profile which you have. And other thing, I think, yeah, you mentioned about University of Maryland. So definitely, I think we would like to hear more about your experience. What was your specialization there? It was same as mine, definitely. But yeah, I like to you to add few words about, what was your specialization there and what were the things you learned from there. Is that something which the students can also pursue as a tip? Can you give a tip to those students who are, trying to learn in the cybersecurity field?
Yeah, definitely, Swati. So I started my career at University of Maryland, and I started my master's degree in 2022 January, and I graduated in May 2023. And in that time, I had a lot of experience in pen testing, red teaming, even before joining University of Maryland. So for me, it was a different environment because I didn't have a formal education in cybersecurity. I've learned everything from my job, bug bounty, and all the research that I did in my free time. So for me, it helped me connect to a lot of mentors in the domain, like professors. And even in my last semester, I was able to do some research on attack surface management, which was also helpful for my bug bounty. And overall, I think for students who have no exposure to cybersecurity or have limited exposure, it served as a good platform. And also, the coursework was pretty interactive. It wasn't just theory based. So in certain pen testing classes, you have to actually hack into some machines, get some flags, and it was quite interesting. And especially for people who didn't have any exposure, I think that was really crucial, thing to learn. And apart from that, there are also few interesting courses that we had in common. That is hacking C and C++
Yeah,
binaries.
that
So
was the
that course is
most engaging course, I'll say, and that was the most challenging as well, where students struggled, but it once you learn it, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, definitely. So even for hacking C programs and binaries in that course, if you don't have experience about some low-level languages or binary exploitation, it would be definitely challenging for you. So since I already came from OSC background, I had exposure to binary exploitation for Windows. I was able to translate that knowledge for the GDP, and I was able to at least perform better in the course, But overall, I think that was another great course.
Awesome. Actually, you have covered so many domains of cybersecurity. Like now that we are talking, more things are coming up. Like you mentioned, you have already OSCP certified, and you have been bug bounty researcher, and you are also you
Mhm.
have now you are working at Amazon, where you are leading the offensive domain for a product, end-to-end product. So, can you also tell me, like, is there anything which you are looking as a next step? Apart from,
Mhm.
what are the verticals you have already covered?
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting question that you know mentioned all the domains. So my approach in general for not just cybersecurity but generally is in life is that I try to go for depth first approach. So for example, I started my career as a security consultant, and in parallel I was also doing bug bounty. So there I focused only on, let's say, network for 6 months or 1 year. I didn't even open any web app. I didn't even open Burp Suite, and I initially got so much into it. It helped me later on for my OSCP preparation. But if you go for depth first approach, you have to apply similar principles to the web app. And once you learn web app, you can apply similar principles, learn some new technologies for Android or iOS pen testing, and you can just translate your knowledge in a much profound manner rather than just trying to focus on 10 different things at the same time. So that is one approach I focused. And even during my first job, I learned about not just mobile web and network. I also transitioned more into red team engagements or even IoT security. So whatever knowledge I gained through my bachelor's degree regarding hardware, I had to relearn everything and learn a little bit of IoT security. And moving on in career or even for your personal research or bug bounty, you might come across any new technology. So while doing some bug bounty, Recon I identified that there are a lot of smart contracts that are being published on Ethereum network or different networks. So I started doing research, and it also helped me in a lot of my personal research, and also in some internships wherein I had to partner with some firms which were working in blockchain. And since I had experience in one domain, it really helped me transition more, and the learning curve was not that steep for me. And currently, I'm focusing on AI. So, uh, as we all know, there are various organizations who are already doing a lot of cool stuff with AI. But right now, my focus is to learn AI for OffSec operations that are used for day-to-day job responsibilities. So yeah, currently it's in work.
Awesome. This is something new, which I also got to know, that you are working on currently working on AI, and that's definitely the trending topic now. And the combination of
Mhm.
AI plus cybersecurity will totally be a boom in the coming future. So definitely we should look for, how we can have the collaborative approach with AI while also enhancing our security practices and security processes which we have. So that's a great thing. And I think I will, as part of the, initial introduction, I'll also mention that Praneeth is our core team member at Crack Learning community. So he had been contributing since 2.5 years now, and he has been one of the founding members and strategizing with us in growing this community. So I'd also like to thank Praneeth for being such a valuable member of our team. So do you want to say anything on that part?
Yeah, like for contributing to this community is not just a personal thing. I think it is for a greater good. So even if you are doing any course or if you are doing bug bounty, the most important thing for any one of the student is that you should have community of like-minded people, and especially if you have some mentors who can handhold you, that would be an additional benefit. So for me personally, uh, I had a lot of colleagues or a lot of companions in bug bounty space wherein I might have wasted my time or I might not have focused on the right resources. But due to the collaborative approach, I was able to form some community, and I was able to help myself learn better. So with Crack, I think we do a lot of trainings wherein we help ongoing students for CV research, which I've led previously, in which you get not, can't say spoon feeding, but you are given challenges wherein you have to do research on some CVs, write some exploits, and you are being mentored from initial days. So that's really a great thing to do.
Awesome. So yeah, any of our cybersecurity enthusiast who is listening to this podcast, please contact us in case you need to know more about the community and want to explore the benefit of our community. And you will get you will get a good mentoring opportunity with our SMEs like Praneeth himself, and there are many other experts in different fields in cybersecurity. So do connect with us if you want to know more. Okay, so let's get started to the slightly next segment where we can know about your bug bounty journey. And since you
Mhm.
had been, great, I'll say one of the known bug bounty researcher, and your tagline is, your name is RootSploit. You're famous by RootSploit name, right? So that had
Yeah.
been, that's how many people, many of you might know about Praneeth. So RootSploit is here today, and we are going to talk about his journey in bug bounty research. And initially, like I would like to know from you, what was the motivation? How did you get started in bug bounty field?
Mhm. So back in 2016, I was just a avid user for various platforms like Facebook, and at the time I was exploring a lot of Facebook applications, and I would always see that there are few scripts or plugins that you can install on your Facebook app. And at the time, I experimented with a lot of plugins, and my account got hacked because of that. So I started to learn what is JavaScript and how it works, and slowly I gained interest in it, and that is how I got started with open bug bounty, which I did way long back. So it was just to learn, and it was pretty interesting to find out bugs by just looking at JavaScript or just trying some XSS payload. And at that time I was pretty new. I didn't even know, how XSS exactly works, but I was just brute forcing a lot of things, trying default passwords, or doing some noob level hacker stuff. And once I started my actual professional journey and also my bug bounty journey with platforms like HackerOne, Bugcrowd, at that time I realized there are so many different things to learn from. So I specifically dealt more into attack surface management. So in my bug bounty approach and even for my bug bounty blogs, I've mentioned various techniques for attack surface management. And for my personal use, I've created a lot of scripts which utilize different subdomain invasion techniques. So Recon is one part that I like to specialize in. And at the moment, I don't do much of bug bounty. I've transitioned more into pen testing roles where I perform pen tests with HackerOne, Cobalt, and even in my day-to-day life, I focus more on the pen testing and red teaming. So moving forward, I'll try to transition more into red teaming and purple teaming, since I had background with the vulnerability management side of the domain as well.
Okay, that's great. So the main motivation was your account got hacked, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And at the time, my account started posting a lot of spammy links, and it was really embarrassing that
oh,
I lost access to my account.
nice. That was a learning experience, definitely.
Yeah.
And mostly like people, at least in the bug bounty world, if we talk about other researchers also, many of them actually got this kickstart because something either just randomly happened on their account at that time, or maybe they stumbled across some random bug on some website which which made them pursue that more and dig deeper. So I think, yeah, that's definitely one of the motivation factors, and it also helped you in analyzing the application more, understanding the in-depth details, and learning the scripting part very well in advance, I'll say, right? So,
Yeah.
what are the core features which you focus on? One you mentioned like recon part, right? So, what
Mhm.
are the other when you are looking for any bugs, any particular platform you are picking for, as a target?
Mhm.
What platform do you target? What is your prioritization model look like? And what bugs do you mostly try to hunt for? Is there any specific category, or what is your methodology?
Yeah. So firstly, I would like to, mention to all the people who are trying to pursue bug bounty that, it is more about consistency and, less about the money. So if you always think about earning something, you might not, always find it. So I specifically try to jump into programs that I personally feel that are interesting. So for example, I've done some programs which are specifically into Golang. I saw they have some GitHub projects on Golang, and I've read somewhere about that library. And since I wanted to learn about code auditing for Golang specifically, and I was also learning Golang in parallel, I directly jumped into it. So this approach might not be favorable for everyone, but my personal approach is I try to go for platforms that I'm more keen about or I want to learn about. And second thing is I want to make sure that the if I'm going for any rewards, I want to make sure the platform is paying well and it is active. I don't want to go for a particular program that is not paying or it is not that responsive. So these are the two factors, and I have created my own set of checks and a list of bugs. So personally, I don't go for XSS or CSRF, since if it is a huge program, most of those issues are already fixed. So I try to go more for business logic, or if there is some API documentation, or like I've identified a couple of times wherein just by reading through the API documentation and seeing how the application actually works, I was able to push a malicious code or even get a remote code execution just by diving deep into the application. So I think this is one of the most important skill set that I've identified, that most people won't dive that deep into the application. And if you're actually interested in learning about the application, you would naturally dive deep and you'll eventually find out something.
Actually, that's an important thing you have mentioned. Like most of the students nowadays find this hacking word very cool. And so they just,
Mhm.
and bug bounty also, like it's the most hype word right now. And many of them think that, reporting small severity bugs, like maybe low hanging fruits, you can say. So that can give them in good returns when they are doing the research. But eventually, like they are not helping them learn in and grow in the cybersecurity, grow their cybersecurity knowledge. So that's an interesting thing which you have mentioned, that irrespective of what is the money we are getting, at least try to do something new, dig deeper, and try to learn at
Mhm.
least. And it will pay, like in some form, maybe Hall of Fame or some incentives, not necessarily as money, but at least they are learning something. So that's something we should, or anyone who is listening, they should at least keep this in mind. Don't be demotivated if you don't get money.
Mhm.
There are other things which are helping you in the future for your career. So what would you like to, what tips you would like to give the students who feel demotivated just because,
Mhm.
this money factor is not very good in some of
Mhm.
the programs? So have you experienced this thing, and what is the tip you'll give the students?
I think for my point of view, like don't even take my word for it. There are a lot of top bug bounty players in the uh, area. You would know that they don't rely on bug bounty a lot. Like if you want to do it, you can do it, but you don't have to rely on it completely, because it's not a complete a consistent source of uh, payment. Sometimes there might be a lot of issues on backend that you are not even sure about. So since I transitioned into OffSec roles and security engineer roles, I know how a bug works. So if a particular report has been sent, we have to deal with so many different things to get it fixed. And sometimes it's a genuine thing that we have already identified those issues. And even if we reply to you after 1 week and say that it's a duplicate bug, you would get, you would get angry or you would feel demotivated. But I think you should be grateful that you at least found a valid bug. So if you keep on finding valid bugs, you'll eventually make money. But for long term, I think uh, I have also faced a lot of duplicates, NA. So don't think how many NA or how many invalid bugs you found. Just focus on finding bugs, and even if it is duplicate, it's still a win for you end of the day.
Yes, exactly the message which students should take away. And so, like apart from this, like any resources which you refer most of the times, you have your own checklist definitely, but is there any
Mhm.
online resources which you will recommend for the students, and any tips apart from like what you have already mentioned? So, any tips you will mention
Mhm.
which can help the students be successful in this bug bounty research field? In
Mhm.
today's, especially in
So
the
I,
today's scenario, like there are so many technologies coming. So any tips on that?
Mhm. Yeah, I think there are so many different platforms to learn and brush up your skills. But I would say first go through the basics of OAups, go to different platforms, try hack me, hack the box. First, know the basic, nail the basics. And once you are pretty confident about the basics, then choose your archetype. Like, hey, I'm just a bug bounty hunter who wants to focus on, let's say, ASM type of issues or any recon type of issues. So I'll try to specialize my skill set in recon, and later on I can dive deep. So know your type, like what are your strengths and what are your weakness, and if you want to pursue them or not. So in certain cases, if somebody is not interested in recon but you see on Twitter or any other platforms, you'll focus on recon just because of FOMO. But don't fall for that. Just focus on your strengths and interest. And for being up to date, I mostly prefer hacktivity, or even Bugcrowd has their own hacktivity wherein you can see all the ongoing bugs which people are reporting. So that would give you a broader perspective about the program and also bugs that are being reported. For example, if you can read about OAups, and you can pretty much go to Portsfigure and do all the labs on your own. But for business logic issues, reading those reports are super crucial. And you can also find out about some write-ups on Twitter or Medium. So these are the only resources I prefer. And I would say if you limit your resources to only the best, that would be better rather than having ton of resources and not understanding any of those.
Okay, great. And one more thing, like considering that today there are so many bug bounty researchers, and the speed in this field matters. So how
Mhm.
would you advise the students to be quick in reporting things, like how to win the competition, win that race?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting question. So you can't compete with everyone, and it is like a rat race, to be honest, that you have to find a bug at the fastest rate possible. So if you want, you can do a lot of automation. You can use different Slack bots or different Telegram bots to send you a list of subdomains once you are done scanning. You can integrate all possible keys, and even if you want, you can use your HackerOne key, Packrowd key to fetch all your private programs and do automated scans. So there are a lot of different ways. And in that case, I would prefer doing my deep dive and selecting a program and doing manual analysis. Since even if you consider attacks like subdomain takeover, if you identify it on some private program, you can definitely do it. But for public programs where a lot of top hackers are there, so it might be pretty challenging to identify the subdomain takeover manually before all the top hackers, since everybody has their own tooling. So I would suggest that if you are somebody who has just started out, you can either go the development route, create your own development framework, but don't dive too, don't dive too deep into it. You can always focus on one program, and you can give yourself some time out that hey, I'll focus on this program for 1 week, 2 weeks, and I'll not look at any other program. I'll not do recon. I'll just focus on the application. And once I'm thorough with the application and I know that hey, I can't find any issue or there are no non-duplicate issues, then only I'll move to program B. So that would help you identify issue and also escape the rat race.
Awesome. Awesome. This will be definitely helpful for our bug bounty enthusiast. And yeah. So what we can do next is we'll want to know about your transition from bug bounty researcher to lead
Mhm.
pen tester roles in various companies, various programs like
Mhm.
even HackerOne, Cobalt. So how was
Mhm.
the transition like, and what was the path you followed in order to do that transition?
Mhm. So I've been doing pen testing since more than 7 to 8 years, and I also do a lot of contract work with different organizations, and I've secured a lot of platforms. So since I had already built up reputation on some public platforms, that definitely helps you gain some pen testing roles or pen testing jobs for you. So if you are someone who wants to pursue that, I would strongly suggest that you build some proof of knowledge about it, that hey, I've done some pen test in past, or I've completed some bug bounties, and I have been a top player in this particular program. So that would definitely help you. And overall, it might not be feasible for everyone to go into bug bounty, become a top dog in the domain. So I would suggest you would first go through a job wherein you're forced to learn, or you're pushed to go beyond your skill set. And it definitely helped me in my case, because if I was just a bug bounty hunter, I would have just focused on web, API, mobile. But since I had a full-time job, I was pushed to learn more about red teaming and even IoT security, which I wouldn't have learned otherwise.
So how was like how did you get exposure to IoT security, like red teaming?
Mhm.
Was that part of your role at HackerOne, or how did you get that exposure?
So that exposure, I got it basically in my initial 1 and 2 years while I was working as a security consultant. So since it was a startup, I was able to um, implement certain services, and we were a service-based company. And at the time, I founded some different techniques that we can provide to our clients. So, for example, uh, we were providing OSINT and recon-related service for different customers, but we were not providing any dark web and deep web analysis type of services. So I pitched in to implement this service, and I became the owner of this service. And also, slowly I started leading the red team engagements in my previous organization. And this really gave me a different perspective that, hey, I know something about web app or network, but I had limited knowledge about dark web. So I started doing threat intel inside of dark web, identifying leaked credentials, and there are a lot of cool stuff that you can actually find using just your basic intel on dark web, which I wasn't even aware of.
Awesome. So I think that's the urge to learn more and more, which helped you in gaining these expertise and pushing yourself beyond the usual bug bounty research track. So, as a security engineer, actually, this is a good skill, necessary skill to have, I will say, where people can, push themselves to learn as much as possible and dig deeper, analyze the thing. So they should always have that learning curve going up. So I think, yeah, that's a great key to your success in transitioning from a bug bounty researcher to offensive security roles in your long-term career.